The main physics ideas of this week were all related to applying Newton's second law of gravitation to computational models, as well as how to use them analytically. In addition to this, Newton's third law was introduced, which states that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, in which the term action refers to a force that is equal in magnitude to a reaction or opposite force. I learned that without the sun, there would be no gravitational force, which I was not aware of. And then in a more academic light, I learned that in VPython, you can actually change the name of a variable all at once rather than going in and doing it by hand, like scanning through all of it and finding every time, by going to edit, replace, and then typing the name of the variable as it is and then what you want it to be. I already knew that Newton's third law stated that for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, but I didn't know that it doesn't tell you anything about how the force affects the masses or the systems that they're acting on. That's what Newton's second law does. The information was still beneficial, though, because I obviously learned something from it. Something in a lecture that sparked my curiosity was the fact that using computational models can simulate how the Earth's orbit goes around the sun, and it can also simulate other alternate Earths where the orbit is either more of an ellipse or bigger, smaller, and it really put into perspective how kind of lucky it was that Earth was placed the way it was and how it follows the path it does, because even with the slightest change, it could be too far from the sun, too close to the sun, and then be either too hot or way too cold for any life to inhibit it. This doesn't relate to my area of study, but I did find it interesting. And the topic that seemed the most confusing to me was how the planetary models themselves work, because I understand how you're supposed to graph it using the computational model where you have the little ball going around the middle and that's the Earth around the sun, but I never really grasped how that happened. Like, I get that it's using the code. I just need to look more into that and play around with the code. I did follow up on the topic, and I think the Feynman lectures were the most helpful because they really went into depth about planetary motion, and then also into depth about the laws of gravitation and how they're interconnected, and they really explained it well. And I think that after reading that, I will be able to take it and go to the code and play with the code and then understand better how the planetary motion works and how it's all related with the gravitational force and all. But that will take some playing around to do, so it's mostly just a trial and error thing.